Philippines, good evening. Every day we are confronted with events that affect our lives, events that create issues, issues that create impressions, and impressions that create barriers. For us to fully appreciate the significance of news and events, these barriers must be put away. These barriers must be broken. Join us now as we engage in breaking barriers.
Although not the capital city of the Philippines, Manila is the most known internationally than any city in the country. Manila today, however, is not the same city of the 50s or the 60s. Only memories remain of the famous city landmarks like Escolta, the center of financial activities, and Carriedo and Avenida Rizal, where the elite and ordinary do their shopping. Over the past 3 decades, Manila lost its luster. The slums of Tondo and North Harbor, the dilapidated stores along Avenida Rizal, and the smelly waterfront of Luneta are some of the present images depicted by this decaying city. There is an ongoing urban renewal program that aims to change the scenes in the city. And just like any redevelopment efforts, those who benefit from the current situation are putting up obstacles.
Join the Gamboa brothers, Butch and Ray, as they break barriers and give you a better view of current issues that affect our lives.
Mabuhay Philippines! Welcome to Breaking Barriers. I'm Butch Gamboa.
Good evening, this is Ray Gamboa. For the next hour, we shall again put on center stage topics and issues that are of vital importance to all of us, so that we can gain deeper insights as to how they can affect our daily lives.
For some time, the city of Manila has been regarded as a dying city, if not already so close to a dead one. It has sunk into such depths of unimaginable decay as the citizens and the private sector just merely watched in the sidelines, hoping that someday they would have a city government that would be dead serious in seeing its resuscitation.
It now appears that someone from City Hall has finally risen to the occasion. A mayor with a covenant of renewing the city, of regaining its lost glory, and finally bask in the spotlight of international acceptance of being a city of the world, worthy of mention, together with the best that the planet can offer.
Tonight we have as guest the man who has visions of giving back the city of Manila the long-lost reverence and recognition that it once was so proud to have. The city mayor whose present dream is to revive this dying city and infuse some fresh breath of life into its long, dull, and barely surviving existence. Tonight we shall try to gain deeper insights into this yeoman's venture by breaking barriers with Mr. Joselito Atienza, Mayor of the City of Manila. Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Welcome to Breaking Barriers, Mayor Atienza, and thank you for giving us some of your time.
Magandang gabi sa inyo. Ray, Butch, good evening. Mabuhay to all of our people.
Well, after all the formalities have been graciously done with, we shall get down to business, breaking barriers with Mayor Lito Atienza when we come back shortly after some important messages. Welcome once again to Breaking Barriers, where we have exclusive chats with people in the midst of the news or controversies in order to gain deeper insights into the issues that they are involved in.
Tonight, we shall discuss the visible changes that the city of Manila is undergoing as a covenant to regain its lost glory has been made by its city mayor, who we have as guest this evening, Mayor Lito Atienza.
Mr. Mayor, allow me to start our exclusive interview this evening with your Buhayin ang Maynila program, a comprehensive but rather Herculean plan, others actually call it chaotic, to pull Manila out of squalor, restore its lost prestige. Maaari po bang bigyan natin ang ating mga manonood ng kaalaman tungkol sa programang ito.
Buhayin ng Maynila is actually an urban renewal program, urban development program. Ang pakay nito talaga ang baguhin natin ang kaanyuhan ng lungsod, ibalik natin doon sa dating kagandahan. Alam nyo, talagang aminin natin, napag-iwanan ng Maynila ng maraming lungsod, hindi lang sa bansa, kundi sa buong Asia at sa buong mundo. Dati-rati ang Maynila ay number 1 dito sa Asia. May pagmamalaki natin. At sa buong mundo, hinahangaan. Pero aminin natin, talaga napag-iwanan. Kailangan mabawi natin yung dating kaanyuhan. Andyan pa rin naman yung mga hiyas ng lungsod. Andyan pa Intramuros. Andyan ang University of Santo Tomas. Andyan yung Bay area natin, kung tawagin natin, portion of Manila Bay. Andyan ang Pasig River. Kaya yung Buhay ng Maynila is an urban development and renewal program that is meant to restore the natural beauty of our city. Ngayon, saksi kayo. Tingnan nyo, inumpisa namin sa Plaza Miranda, Lacson Underpass, Plaza Moriones, Plaza Balagtas, Plaza Hugo, Plaza Noli, Plaza Raja Sulaiman, ito nga Baywalk sa Ross Boulevard, at yung ating Pasig River Development Program. Lahat ito ngayon ay namumulaklak na ng magandang pamumuhay para sa lahat.
Kumusta naman po ang implementasyon ng programang Buhay ng Maynila? Nasa schedule naman po ba?
Yes, I can say that we have been doing things on schedule, forcing, pinipilit natin na mapabilis at gawin ang tama sa lalong madaling panahon. Dahil ang pagbabago ay talaga namang tinatanggihan kadalasan. Any change is really resisted. That's a fact of life. In government, that is expected. Kaya, maski na may objection, kung minsan nakikita nyo, pinipilit namin ang aming mga development projects. Dahil kung hindi natin ipipilit, lahat ng project, merong objection, may obstruction, wala tayong magagawa talaga. As I've said, this is a development program which is meant to improve the quality of life of our people. And that's why we're decided to push it.
Nabanggit niyo, Mayor, yung mga obstacles at mga objections sa inyong urban renewal program. Can you tell the viewers, ano itong mga hinaharap niyong mga obstacles and how are you overcoming these obstacles and objections?
To give you an example, Plaza Miranda, ito, aming uumpisa nito, noong 1998, we wanted to improve Plaza Miranda, that being the center plaza of Manila. Naku, ang daming nag-object dyan. Yung apektadong mga sektor, of course, the vendors, the store owners themselves, surprisingly, even the property owners were against change. They were all wanting a status quo. Wag niyong galawin, wag na niyong galawin. Happy na kami rito. Para bang sinasabing, happy na kami sa mabulok at mahirap na kalagayan. But because we are decided, we pushed for the change and the development plan. Ngayon, nakita po natin, bagong Plaza Miranda, lahat tinatanggap na ngayon. Lahat masaya. At sila'y nakangiti ngayon, tinatanggap nila yung pagkakamali nila sa pagkontra. Ganon din ang lahat ng aming mga proyekto. Plaza Balagtas, meron din kumontra dyan. Yung Plaza Raja Sulaiman, kumontra din. Yung mga ilang nakapaligid dyan na mga illegal ang kanilang negosyo. Dahil sa aming napag-alaman, yung mga kumukontra sa mga pagbabago, kadalasan sila yung mga nakikinabang sa mga illegal at mga kabulukan na naghahari dun sa lugar na yun.
Matanong ko lang po, Mayor Atienza, sa pagpapatupad nyo ng programang Buhayin ng Maynila, hindi po ba kayo nakaroon ng clash or difference in policies ng MMDA or Metro Manila Development Authority?
Not really fundamental. It's really more or less the details of our ideas on how to provide solutions to our urban problems. I'll give you an example. Katulad nung public urinals. Gusto ng MMDA magkaroon ng mga ihian sa mga sidewalks ng Metro Manila. Hindi po namin matatanggap yan sapagkat ang programa namin ay disiplina at ipagbawal ang pag-ihi sa lansangan. No matter how you want to justify those urinals, that actually is allowing, in fact, encouraging urinating in public. Because you see the man urinating on the sidewalk. It doesn't jive with our program in Manila, which is one of exacting discipline. Hindi dapat umiihi ang sino man sa sidewalk ng lungsod. Wala namang ganyang city sa buong mundo eh. So why would we want Manila to become a city known for men folk to be allowed to be urinating in public. We would rather build more public toilets, private, may privacy, na hindi nakikita ng sino man yung ginagawa mo roon at yung iyong sariling pangangailangan. And we are now legislating that each and every public place like chain stores, gasoline stations, restaurants, every business establishment must never refuse anybody needing a toilet facility, maski na hindi pa siya customer dun sa kanyang negosyo yun. That should be one of the basic requirements of any business starting in the city of Manila. Pag-usapan din natin yung vendors. Alam nyo, ang programa ng MMDA ay ipagbawal ang vendor. From the very start, nagkaroon kami ng difference of positions. Kami sa Maynila, from 1998, we've already been pushing organized vending. Accepting the fact that ang pagtitinda ay hindi naman problema by itself. It is a solution to a problem. Ang gusto ng MMDA, alisin lahat ng vendor. Kami naman sa Maynila, ilagay sa ayos ang vendor. Nang sa gayon, sa pag-angat ng ekonomiya ng Maynila, hindi naman malalaking negosyo lang ang natutulungan namin. We are very, very helpful to big business. But definitely, we want the poor to also go along and benefit from our efforts. Hindi pwedeng yung malalaki lang ang lumalaki, yung maliliit na iiwanan. Kailangan sabay-sabay umaangat sa kabuhayan. Organized vending is what it is all about.
Mayor, pag-usapan naman natin yung sikat at hinahangaang bagong proyekto ninyo. Ito yung Baywalk. Paano po nag-umpisa itong project na ito at eventually paano po ito na-develop? Saan kayo nakakuha ng inspirasyon para gawin ito?
Alam nyo, laki ko sa Malate. As a young boy, I used to swim in the bay. And I have always appreciated the bay. I've always appreciated the magical wonder of the Manila Bay sunset. And that's the very reason why in 1992, we objected to the reclamation of the remaining open portion of the bay. Na-reclaim na yung Parañaque, na-reclaim na yung Pasay, papunta na sa Maynila. Mapalad, naging Vice Mayor si Lito Atienza. Talaga nag-object kami dyan sa proyektong yan. Napigil namin ang reclamation from the Cultural Center up to the U.S. Embassy. Manila would not be Manila without the Bay Area. Architect Burnham, the great American architect commissioned by the U.S. government to prepare the city plan of Manila in 1904, said in his books, in his writings, when he saw the city coming from the bay, sabi niya sa sarili niya, this city, fully developed, could become the prettiest city in the world. Tingnan nyo, si Architect Burnham saw Manila first and got his first impression from the Bay Area. Biro nyo, tatabunan naman sana yan at kagaya nung nangyari sa Parañaque at Pasay, nailigtas namin. Kaya itong aking ginagawa ngayon is in pursuance of my firm conviction that the Bay Area should benefit Manilans. We are maintaining it as we are committed to maintain it because we know that the Bay Area could be the source and the beginning of the economic development that will go inland, affecting Malate, Ermita, onwards up to Paco, Singalong, and the rest of the city because we still have a Bay Area. Tingnan nyo, sa buong Metro Manila, wala na silang makapapantay na may makasasabing meron pa silang Bay Area except the city. That is a big, big economic asset for Manila and the city and our people.
Mayor, meron lang ho akong follow-up question mula sa ating mga nanonood. Itong development sa Bay Area na ito, baka naman ningas kugun lang ito at pag nawala na si Lito Atienza, babalik na naman ito sa dati, kagaya ng mga similar projects in the past. Ano po ba ang assurance natin sa publiko na yung ginawa ninyong development sa Bay Area ay mapapangalagaan and will be sustained for long period of time even after Lito Atienza's term of office?
Sa ginagawa natin ngayon, yung ating maintenance, yung ating patuloy na pangangalaga, yung ating talagang pagsisikap, na na-appreciate naman ng lahat ng tao. Anybody who goes to the Baywalk area now definitely develops a new feeling. One of confidence. Sinasabi nila, nagtatrabaho gobyerno. Masarap pala itong ganitong klaseng kalagayan. Na-miss na natin to. Ito'y atin pala. This is for everybody. Rich, poor, male, female, young, old. Palagay ko, yung nararamdaman ng tao ngayon in appreciation for what they see in development and maintenance of these developed areas will be the best factor that will ensure the continued maintenance of these facilities.
The maintenance of peace and order is unquestionably a major factor to ensure the continued success of a project such as the Baywalk. Ano po ang ginagawa ng lungsod ng Maynila upang tuluyang siguruhin ang security ng mga taong nagpupunta para magliwaliw sa Baywalk?
Consistent monitoring, supervision, and persistent efforts. I must admit, talagang hindi rin madali na ang ating sitwasyon ngayon ay mapangalagaan natin ang kaayusan at kapayapaan dahil ang control and supervision ng mga pulis ay hindi pa nasa loob ng mayor's office, wala pa sa kamay ng mga alkalde sa buong bansa. Dito sa Metro Manila, nabigyan nga tayo ng konting biyaya ng ating Pangulong Arroyo. The mayors of Metro Manila have been given a little more administrative control, disciplinary control over our policemen. Pero there's nothing like the mayors being given the full control and supervision over their police forces. Doon talaga magagarantiyahan na ang effective police performance in every city in the country. But right now, we have to be very, very consistent, very persistent, at talaga lang kailangan magtulungan. Yung Chief of Police, kami ni General Bulaong, hinihingan ko siya ng total commitment dito sa ating pagsisikap na ito. At binabantayan namin, pag medyo dumudulas ang police security effort, ay tinatawagan namin ng pansin.
Ang Baywalk ay kasama sa ilan pang maraming proyekto sa ilalim ng inyong Buhayin ng Maynila program. Kasama rin po dito ang Avenida Project. Can you appraise us with the status of this project that for some time, I understand, was considered as controversial?
Alam nyo, yung Avenida Project, yan na lang ang tanging solusyon. Kung gusto natin magkaroon pa ng buhay ang Rizal Avenue ng ating nakaraan. Rizal Avenue, for the information of everybody, used to be the #1 avenue, commercial avenue in the whole Philippines. Wala pang Makati, wala pang Ortigas, wala pang lahat siya mga suburbs na nag-develop. Ang Rizal Avenue, naging katangi-tangi talagang buhay na buhay. Makulay. May negosyo hanggang alauna ng umaga. Malagay ko, Butch, tayo nanonood ng sini nung araw. Last full show, lalabas ka 12:30. Meron pang makakainan sa downtown Manila. Dahil ang Rizal Avenue, ang sentro ng komersyo at negosyo. Ngayon, dumaan ang maraming dekada, napabayaan, nabulok, nagdilim, naging peligroso. After 6 o'clock, pagsapit ng dilim, wala nang tao dyan. Noong ako'y naging mayor noong 1998, first day in office, pumunta ako sa Rizal Avenue. Nakita ko, merong mga nakatira na sa gitna at kahabaan ng Rizal Avenue. Nakatira. May habong na plastic, may kariton, may pamilya, may anak, nagluluto sa gitna ng Rizal Avenue. Sa gitna ng dilim. Parang naalala ko yung mga napanood natin sa mga sini sa Harlem, sa ghetto ng East LA, ng mga talagang rough areas of the United States and Europe and many portions of Asia na meron talagang ganyang kabulukan. Abay, sabi ko sa sarili ko, we must do something about improving the conditions of Rizal Avenue. How to do it is what we're doing now. Pedestrianizing it. Dahil yung pedestrianization ay nagbibigay ng atraksyon doon sa mga mamimili, sa mga pedestrians. Sila ang ating bibigyan ng gamit sa bahaging yon from Recto to Carriedo along Rizal Avenue. Inayos namin yung kalye, tinaas natin sa sidewalk, inayos natin ang sidewalk, pinagaganda natin ngayon. Yung mga poste ng LRT, tignan po ninyo, pinakikita ko rin sa inyo ang anyo ng Rizal Avenue bago namin ginalaw. Tingnan po ninyo ito. Iyan ang Rizal Avenue, ang ating minana. Talaga namang madilim, bulok na, pangit na, talagang pugad na ng maraming problema. Andyan sa ibabaw yung LRT. Palaging sinasabi ng lahat, kaya nabulok yan dahil sa LRT. Ang sabi ko naman, may LRT, may train, nagdadala ng kalating milyong tao, araw-araw across the city. Di bigyan natin ng attraction para bumaba yung mga nakasakay sa LRT. Yan ang panggagalingan ng negosyo. Pero hindi bababayan kung ganito ay tsura ng ating Rizal Avenue. Kailangan ayusin natin at bigyan natin ng atraksyon ang mga commuters. Ito ang aming pananaw ng bagong Rizal Avenue na ngayon inaayos namin. Tingnan nyo, this is what pedestrianization is all about. Inayos namin yung kalye, nagmumukha ngayong parang corridor ng isang mall, pagkalaki-laking mall. Ang mga negosyante at mga negosyo sa tabi ay nag-aayos na rin. Building owners nag-aayos para magmukha, pumantay naman sila sa development na ibinibigay ng city. Yung mga jeepneys na dumadaan dito, mga bus, ay aming pinadadaanan ngayon sa alternate routes. Yung papunta ng norte, dito po sa Estero Sigado hanggang Evangelista, onwards to Oroquieta. And then back to Rizal Avenue. Ito po naman papuntang south, tatawid ng MacArthur Bridge, ay dumadaan ngayon sa Tomas Mapua. In other words, pati yung mga alternate routes, nabubuhay na ngayon. Nagkakaroon ng karagdagang dahilan para sa negosyo. Pero ito po magiging itsura ng bagong Rizal Avenue. And to give you a detail of this plan, tingnan po ninyo ito. Ito ang magiging itsura ng mga poste ng LRT na ginagamit natin dahilan sa kabulukan nangyari dyan. Eh ngayon, bakit natin pababayaan yan pa rin ang maging kadahilanan? Di ayusin natin, pagandahin natin pati poste, dagdagan pa natin ng ilaw para yung aming Rizal Avenue nung nakaraan namin ni Ray at ni Butch ay maibalik natin. Dito ay naasahan ko, sa ganitong klaseng kalagayan, ang negosyo rito mananatili hanggang 1:00 ng umaga. Shopping will continue on. The 500,000 people passing through using the LRT will have now an incentive to go down. Go down and enjoy the Rizal Avenue commercial life before proceeding to your going home or going elsewhere. But if we do not do this kind of a technique on development, fighting decay, abay mananatili na Rizal Avenue. Bulok, madilim, mahirap, pugad ng lahat ng problema ng isang lungsod. So we have no choice. We had to pedestrianize Rizal Avenue. This is a development technique that is used all over the world. Hindi po naman bago ito. Hindi inimbento ito ni Mayor Atienza. Ginagamit po ito very widely in China. Ginagamit po ito in major Asian cities. Ginagamit po ito sa Europe. Ginagamit po ito sa Amerika. At panahon na, para naman tayo ay gumamit din ng paraan sa pag-unlad ng negosyo at pamumuhay sa Maynila. This is what pedestrianization is.
We'll have more about the serious efforts to revive the city of Manila as we break barriers with its hardworking top city executive, Mayor Lito Atienza, after this short break. Ray and I will be back breaking barriers in just a short while. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Breaking Barriers, a weekly presentation here on IBC TV 13. I'm Butch Gamboa.
And this is Ray Gamboa. We are breaking barriers with our guest tonight, Mayor Lito Atienza of the City of Manila, so we can get deeper insights into the transformation that the city is in the midst of. Maiba po tayo ng issue, Mr. Mayor. Itong naipasang anti-smoking law. Habang inaantay ang implementing rules and regulations for nationwide application, marami pong hinanaing ang mga business establishments. Iba-iba ang implementation na ginagawa ng mga cities and municipalities at tinatamaan daw po ang kanilang negosyo. Ano naman po ang ginagawa ng City of Manila to implement this anti-smoking law? And at the same time, maintaining yung sinasabi niyong being friendly to business.
Dito sa Maynila, matagal na po kami merong anti-smoking law, lalong-lalo na po sa mga public places. If I remember my dates correctly, mga 1965, meron na kami itong batas na ito. It is illegal to smoke in buses, jeepneys, restaurants, nightclubs, cocktail lounges, any public place, especially theaters. Ay talago, hindi po pwede hong magsigarilyo rin sa Maynila. Patuloy po namin pinatutupad to. And ngayong may bagong batas na, meron pa kaming higit na nagagamit na paraan sa implementation ng no smoking in public places. But also, as part of our business-friendly policies, yung mga lugar na pwede namang merong smoking area, we are allowing this so as to allow a healthy business climate all over the city. Yung mga lugar na maliit, Hindi naman talaga pwedeng magkaroon pa ng smoking area dun sa maliit na lugar na yan. Basta no smoking na yun. Theaters, fully enclosed, fully air-conditioned. Hindi pwedeng magkaroon ng exception. Smoking room, maglalagay po tayo doon. You can smoke each other out of that room to your delight. No? Pero hindi nyo dapat maapektuhan the rest of the crowd who are non-smokers.
Balik ulit po tayo sa isang issue na meron ding impact sa negosyo. Ito po yung naging napakainit na issue last year. Ito pong pagsasara ng mga oil depots sa Pandacan. Meron pong ordinansa na kayo mismo ang nagtulak na nagpapaalis sa mga oil companies sa Pandacan. Pero napapansin po ng marami na mukhang hindi po yata ma-implement ang ordinansang ito. Ito po bang ordinansa ay naamyendahan na o still outstanding to be implemented?
The ordinance still remains, no? The ordinance is in effect. And we're still pushing for the removal of the depots from Pandacan. But meanwhile, nagdemanda yung mga oil companies. We are now engaged in a court battle. They're questioning the law. That's their right. But we have our own very, very solid basis for our having passed it. And we are definitely fighting it out in court. But right now, what I've been trying to remind the oil companies are actually the following things. One, they must provide the delivery of their commitments in the MOA that they signed up with us earlier. Alam nyo, nagbigay ng konti ang lungsod so that they may have their time frame of eventual phase-out. Nung sila nangako na mag-aalis sila ng 28 tanks. Kasama na po yung kerosene, aviation gas, yung mga peligrosong substances. At ilalayo po nila yung remaining tanks away from the communities. Maganda po yung kanilang commitment na yon. Sinabi rin po nila na magtatayo sila ng mga open spaces and open parks between the remaining tanks and the communities. Again, we welcome that in the beginning because we know that it will provide security and development for the communities. And that is a big, big step forward our efforts of removing the dangers, primarily the dangers posed by the oil depot and the oil tanks. Sinabi rin po nila na yung kanilang area of operation ay mare-reduce to just 1/3 of what presently they're occupying in the old. Again, that was a most welcome guarantee out of that MOU that we signed up with them. Pero, kaya in spite or maski na meron tayong injunction na inisyong korte, inaasahan ko itong mga oil companies. I-deliver itong mga commitments na ito dahil ito yung mga urgent concerns which pertains to safety, security, and development of Pandacan. Para naman makinabang ang mga communities sa kanilang pananatili dito sa area.
Mr. Mayor, when is the crunch time for this MOU or the commitments made by the oil companies? Ang tingin po ng iba, mukhang napakatagal ang paggawa o pagtupad ng mga commitments ng mga oil companies. Ano po ba ang crunch time? Hanggang kailan kayo mag-aantay? And at what point will you come in and say, enough is enough?
By 2004, they should have completed all of these open spaces that they're committed. By 2004, they should have completed the removal of 28 tanks. Yan po ay kanilang pinirmahan at ikinomit sa lungsod ng Maynila. Kaya gaya na sinabi ko, abay yan all in good faith, in mutual trust, na naintindihan nila ang layunin ng lungsod at naintindihan nila ang security concerns natin at ang developmental needs sa Pandacan. So, at the right time, we will definitely see where we are and we will have to make a decision when the time comes.
Mayor, isa ho sa mga ipinangako ng oil companies ay yung paggawa ng buffer zone. Ito ho yata ay isang ipinilit ninyo sa kanila. Ngayon, nakikita ng iba na itong buffer zone ngayon ay medyo pinaglalaroan na ng mga bata, nagiging playground. May mga nagtatanong po, meron po ba tayong garantiya na yung area na yon na dating pinag-iimbakan o storage area ng mga oil products, ito ho ba ay safe and free from toxic substances? Kasi po ang kanilang sinasabi, Dahil sa napakatagal ng ginamit na imbakan o storage ng mga produktong langis, baka po naman yung lupa at tubig ay nagkaroon na ng contamination. At ang toxic substances na naiwan sa lupa at tubig ang siyang nalalanghap ng mga batang naglalaro sa buffer zone.
According to the experts of the oil companies, because we asked this same question to them, ay meron naman silang mga pag-aaral na ginawa na ito yung mga safe areas. Proof na bubuhay yung mga tanim at yung mga kanilang inilalagay na mga ornamental plants dun sa mga play areas na ito. Kung tawagin natin ay buffer zone. So, talagang tinatanggap natin yung kanilang technical studies as safety guarantee for the good health of the children who are playing in these public areas now generated. Pero hindi pa kompleto yung mga playgrounds. Kaya sinasabi ko, according to their own timetables, early 2004, dapat kompleto ng lahat yan.
Alam ng marami na ang effect ng toxic materials, medyo matagal po yun bago nakikita. Meron ba kayong understanding o garantiya mula sa mga oil companies na kung sakasakali sa future, merong claim for damages to life and health due to toxic substances sa lupa at tubig, sasagutin ba ng industriya?
Gaya ng nasabi ko, meron silang mga professional studies na ibinigay sa amin. Pero on top of that, now that you mentioned it, ay ilalagay ko rin sa aming negotiation ngayon, yung guaranteeing yun. Pag merong nagdusa rito ng isang batang pandakan na dahil dito sa toxic fumes na idudulot nitong mga areas na ito, abay dapat managot sila. Dapat managot sila sapagkat sila ang nagsabi, safe itong lugar na ito.
For the longest time, the oil companies have been invoking the argument that should they move out their Metro Manila depots, an increase in the prices of oil products would be inevitable. Ang kadahilanan daw po ay ang pagtaas din ng kanilang transport and other operational costs pag sila ay lumayo sa kasalukuyang pinaglalagyan ng mga depots na ito. Not to mention the cost of relocating these depots. Ano po ang masabi niyo rito?
Isa po yan sa kanilang talagang ginamit na malakas na argumento na pinakinggan po naman ng local government ng Maynila. Pati na ang Department of Energy nagbigay niyang argumentong yan. No less than Secretary Vince Perez came out with studies saying, timing is what it's all about. Kailangan hinay-hinay tayo. Dahan-dahan, ang ekonomiya natin ay kailangan wag masyadong madislocate. Yung supply ng gasolina for metro area, dapat wag naman biglang maputol. Ang Maynila ay inaasahan sa supply ng gasolina sa Metro Manila. Andiyan naman ang mga lugar na pwedeng paglipatan na hindi naman kalayuan. Yung lamang Harbor City, kung saan lumipat yung Total. O nandun na yung Total. Isang kumpanya, nag-decide lumipat dahil alam nilang hindi na sila welcome sa Maynila at for practical purposes, for themselves, for longer planning ability, lumipat na po ron sa merong Harbor City. That's why I'm positive, eventually, mananaig ito ang ating kagustuhan ng Maynila, maliberate na ang Pandakan, especially, maliberate dito sa mga oil tanks na ito, oil depot, na nagbigay na ng napakahabang hospitality sa kanila. Nagbigay ng marami ring problema. Nagbigay din ng maraming peligro. At tuwing magkakaroon tayo ng anumang emergency, kinakabahan tayo. Darating din tayo rin sa pagkakataong lilipat na rin yan sa isang mas maayos na katayuan, at napakikinabangan ng lahat.
Mayor, as the court case goes on, are you aware of any serious efforts that the oil companies are exerting in the event that the court decides against their continued stay in Pandacan? Or are we looking again at several years after a possible court decision favoring the city before the oil companies finally move out?
I'm sure they're now in possession of studies, as they have always been in possession of studies. I know for a fact na mga oil companies, noong pa man, ay talagang meron ng mga studies on relocating their operations, their oil depots. Because alam nila na sa lumalaking community ng Pandacan, talagang nawawala na ng kadahilanan, manatili pa sila dyan. Kaya lang, they have been very, very victorious and successful in preventing any effort to remove them from Pandacan. As proven by our records, by what we have seen, ngayon lamang nagkaroon ng pagkakataon na nagbawas sila ng 28 tanks. Malalaking silindro yan, malalaking tangke na binawas nila sa Pandakan. Malaking accomplishment din yan sapagkat nung una, walang nag-succeed na gobyerno to even get the oil companies to talk about removing the depots. But today, the mere fact that we're engaged in a court case, to us is victory. It means that we have done something solid as proven by the reduction of the size of the operation, reduction of number of tanks, the creation of the buffer zone. Lahat po ito ay panalo ng bayan, panalo ng lungsod. Kaya ako'y naniniwala, magtutuloy ito, although hindi man natin magawa sa isang iglap, magagawa yung tama, malilipat din po sila sa dapat nilang kinaroroonan.
We shall have more of what the City of Manila is undergoing to gain back its lost glory and more insights into the problems of the city and into the mayor's personal views of present controversies and political adventures that the country is currently in the midst of. As Ray and I will be back breaking barriers right after these reminders. You're back with us here on Breaking Barriers, and we would like to involve you, our viewers on the show, by telling us who you might want us to interview or what issues you would like us to center on. You may also send in your questions for our future guests. The list would include Tourism Secretary Richard Gordon, El Shaddai Pastoral Leader Brother Mike Velarde, Ford Group Philippines President Henry Ko, and for the second time, former Congressman and present Road Board Vice Chairman Danilo Suarez. To reach us, here's our email address, breakingbarriers@sunshine-tv.com.
Tonight, we have on center stage the City of Manila and the changes it has been undergoing and will undergo in the city government's efforts to help it regain its lost luster and beauty. On the spotlight on Breaking Barriers tonight is City of Manila Mayor Lito Atienza.
As we continue breaking barriers with you tonight, Mr. Mayor, can you give us an idea of your ultimate vision of the City of Manila? Are you looking at a distinct metropolis that stands far different from the rest of Metro Manila?
Natural na hindi magiging pare-pareho ang mga lungsod sa loob ng metropolitan area. Alam nyo, ang Maynila is 432 years old. Andito po yung Intramuros. Andito po yung mga lumang-lumang institusyon, katulad po ng University of Santo Tomas. Oldest university yan in Asia. Andito po yung Manila Bay, gaya ng pinagmalaki natin kanina. Tayo po ay may pinakamahabang Pasig River na ngayon ay dinedevelop na rin po natin. Sa tulong po ng ating Pangulong Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, herself, being development-oriented, ay tumutulong po ng lubos dito sa Pasig River Development Program. Tagal-tagal na po nito. Ngayon lamang tumakbo dahil tinutulungan po tayo ng lubos ng Pasig River Commission at ng ating Pangulo. Kaya kung pag-uusapan natin ang development ng Maynila, ay talagang mamumukod ito. At hindi natin masasabing pare-pareho na gawin natin development plan sa buong Metro Manila. Meron namang distinct character ang Ortigas. Andyan ang mga freeway, andyan ang mga naglalakihang malls, ang mga opisina, skyscrapers. Andyan po naman ang Makati. Meron ding sariling karakter yung Makati na masasabi nating world class. At marami pong mga lungsod sa buong Metro Manila na meron kanya-kanyang karakter at pagkatao. Meanwhile, what has to be coordinated actually are services and utilities. Katulad po ng tubig, katulad ng mass transport system, katulad ng ilaw, katulad ng communication. Importante po yung mga yan.
Having said that, Mr. Mayor, are you of the belief that the MMDA is already obsolete? Has it outlived its usefulness as times have changed a great deal since its inception during the martial law days?
Alam nyo, isa ko sa naniniwala na kailangan meron tayong metropolitan government na siyang talagang titingin sa kabuuan. At yung nasabi kong utilities and services, mass transport system, public highways, skyways, ang magpaplano dapat yan central metropolitan government. Sa isang malaking metropolis, katulad po ng Metro Manila ngayon, kailangan merong metropolitan government. Subalit, yung ngayong sitwasyon na kung saan meron tayong Metropolitan Development Authority, ay hindi po epektibo ito. I would say that it's time that we create a metropolitan government with a governor elected directly by the people, by the residents, and a legislative body to make laws for the region, for the metropolitan area. Again, with the representatives elected by the different cities directly by the voters and the people.
Baling po tayo ngayon sa politika, Mr. Mayor. Being a prominent politician, a prominent political figure, hindi mo maiiwasan na marami ang gustong makapakinig ng inyong pananaw sa mga nangyayari sa political arena. Isang tanong po na natanggap namin. Marami mga takot dahil baka daw po tumakbo si FPJ. Isa po ba kayo dito na concern na baka tumakbo si FPJ for the presidency?
Alam nyo, isa ako sa mga tagahanga ni FPJ sa kanyang pagiging isang talagang hari ng ating pelikula. At talaga namang kilala siya sa pinilakang tabing, ika nga. At bilang isa sa mga nakakarinig ng maganda niyang mga pag-uugali bilang isang batikang artista at talaga namang idolo, icon, kung tawagin natin, sa ating puting tabing, sana'y manatili na siya sa puting tabing at sa alaala ng ating kasaysayan as the king of Filipino movies. Dahil yung pagpapatakbo ng bansa, ng gobyerno, mekanismo ng bürokrasya, the intricacies of the economy, naku, ang daming elementong dapat pinagtutugma-tugma mo. Baka hindi tugma yung popularidad at yung paghangang meron tayo sa kanya dun sa pangangailangan ng bansa ngayon. Kailangan talagang, kumbaga sa pinukpok ng panahon ang taong namumuno sa atin. May pagsasanay, may malalim na kaalaman sa mga problema ng bansa, yung ekonomiya natin na talaga namang napag-iwanan ng panahon, kailangan ito ay ating mapalusog muli. Napakahirap na trabaho niyan. Kaya palagay ko, kung ako ang tatanungin, talagang sana'y wag na tumakbo si FPJ dahil alam ko magiging napaka-importanting elemento yung kanyang pagpasok sa politika at mag-iibang usapan, mag-iibang debate. Dati number 1 ang Philippine economy. Hinahangaan, kinokopya, at ginaya nga. Maraming paraan. Ginaya tayo ng Bangkok sa prutas, agrikultura, ginaya tayo ng Hong Kong sa development, ginaya tayo ng Singapore sa ating pagkatao. Ngayon, lamang na sila. Kailan pa tayo gigising? Kailangan ilagay natin sa pamunuan ay yung makakapamuno ng epektibo para tayo mapag-isa. Tulungan naman natin. Kaya ako talagang ginagawa ko lahat ng magagawa sa Maynila para makatulong tayo sa pag-angat ng bansa. Naniniwala ako sa sinasabi ng marami, where Manila goes, the country goes. Manila is the mirror of the country.
More of your views about some recent political developments, if you don't mind, Mr. Mayor. Ano po ang inyong pananaw tungkol sa impeachment attempt na kasalukuyang hinaharap ni Chief Justice Davide?
Alam nyo, nabahala rin ako, nababahala ako hanggang ngayon sapagkat itong pagpasok ng Kongreso, ng mga congressmen sa affairs ng Supreme Court, masamang president. Napakasama para sa akin. Sa pananaw ko po, sapagkat ako'y galing sa Kongreso, alam ko ang tendency dyan is for the congressmen to feel all-powerful and all-encompassing yung kanilang magagawa at kapangyarihan. Itong kanilang pinasok na isyong ito definitely is contrary to the independence of the two bodies, and for that matter, the three departments of our government: executive, legislative, and the judiciary. At meron naman tayong constitutional body na dapat nagbabantay naman sa pananalapi at paggamit ng salaping bayan. Andito po ang Commission on Audit. Kaya dapat ang Commission on Audit ang ating pakinggan. Kung may basis, sinabi ng COA, may basis, yung function ng Kongreso for impeachment proceeding, respetuhin natin. Napaka-piligroso niyan sapagkat what will stop the Supreme Court now from saying, kami rin, titignan din namin, how do you spend your CDF? Marami nagko-complain sa loob. na hindi tama ang paggastos ng community development fund ng mga congressmen. Tingnan yung mangyayari. Salawla na ang mangyayari sa atin. The Congress would look into the Supreme Court expenditures. The Supreme Court will investigate and look into how the congressmen are spending their funds. Ano po mangyayari sa atin? Lalo po tayong gugulo bilang isang bansa. Kaya hindi po ako naniniwalang tama yung kanilang ginawa. If it is withdrawn, very good. If it does not prosper, definitely good for the country. And what they're doing, let me say this very, very loud and clear. What the congressmen are doing right now is the best argument against the parliamentary system, where we will only have one body for our legislature. Nako, para ko nang nakikinig-kinita. Kung parliamentary ang ating sistema, nako, dissolve na itong gobyerno natin sapagkat nag-aalma itong mga congressmen. Huwag naman. Tama itong ating sistema ngayon. Ang kailangan lang talaga, better congressmen, better senators, and let us have a unity.
Sa inyo pong pagbanggit sa darating na halalan, Mayor Atienza, although wala pa po kaming nadidinig na mga ngahas na tatakbo laban sa inyo sa darating na eleksyon, as you, we presume, seek your third and final term as mayor, can you share with us your thoughts about the city's coming electoral contest or no contest for the mayoralty seat?
Alam nyo, our record of performance is an open book. Kaya kung may mag-iisip na tumakbo against us for mayor, maganda pong pagkakataon para mabulat-lut natin sa ating mga mamamayan ang ating kanya-kanyang record. I am confident our record will stand for itself. Kaya hindi tayo nababahala ng darating na eleksyon o kung sino man ang tatakbo. We still have about 5 months before the campaign begins. November, December, January, February, March. 5 months. Huwag na munang politika ating pag-usapan natin. Ano pa magagawa natin within these 5 months? Yung ating Rizal Avenue, yung ating Pasig River Development Program, yung Espanya Boulevard, gusto namin mapagbago yan at pasukin pa ng kaunlaran ang maraming bahagi ng Maynila. Yun ang nag-excite sa akin, hindi yung darating na halalan.
Well, Mr. Mayor, sir, I guess that'll conclude our short chat tonight. But before we let you go, may we give you some moments for your brief final message?
Maraming salamat po dito sa pagkakataong ito na naparating natin sa ating mga kababayan ang aming ginagawa sa Maynila at ang ating pananaw sa maraming issue ng ating bansa. Kaya nagpapasalamat po ako kay Ray, Butch, sa pagkakataong ito. Sana'y nakatulong tayo sa pagbibigay ng mas magandang pananaw ng marami sa ating programang Buhay ng Maynila. Ang layunin po natin ay mabigyan ng mas magandang buhay at pamumuhay ang mga tigalunsod ng Maynila. Makatulong tayo sa pag-angat ng bansa. Sa inyo lahat, mabuhay!
Ray and I will be back with our concluding statements here on tonight's edition of Breaking Barriers after this short break. You're watching Breaking Barriers. Weekly, every Wednesday, we invite people who are in the news or in the midst of a controversy so we can gain deeper insights into the issues involved for us to find out how they could possibly affect our daily lives.
Our guest tonight, Manila Mayor Lito Atienza, gave us a fairly good idea of what's being done to revive this dying city and bring back its luster and glee.
The public is fed up with programs that end up as nothing but political gimmickry. They are now more discerning and are looking for concrete accomplishments rather than mere slogans. The people of the city of Manila are watching closely the ongoing urban renewal program being undertaken by Mayor Lito Atienza, and they like what they see. The much talked about Baywalk is the latest successful project. Here you see people walk around and enjoy once again the sights and breeze of Manila Bay.
The road towards urban renewal is not an easy one. There are obstacles, roadblocks, and objections raised by those who feel threatened by the changes that will occur. The oil companies, for instance, are clinging on to the operational benefits they derive out of depots located at Pandacan. They have acceded to the demands of the city government just to prolong their stay. They may even be held liable for claims due to possible existence of toxic substance in the buffer zone they created. It is now up to the people of the City of Manila to determine how this urban renewal program for the city will ultimately progress. Will they allow these obstacles to slow down the process, or will they give the city government the mandate to go full speed ahead and bring back the luster and glory of Manila? For Breaking Barriers, I'm Ray Gamboa. Good night.
And this is Butch Gamboa. Thanks for joining us. Good night.